I'm here with the 1000SX 2022 model. This is a Kawasaki. This is a sport touring bike, and the engine is over 1,000 cc's, a little over 1,000 cc's. But it only brags about 120 something horsepower with about 75 foot-pounds of torque, I believe, or 124 horsepower. And it does tip the scales at the wrong side of 500 pounds wet. That means fluids and everything in it. The price point, though, about 12.8 or something like that. I mean, basic suspension components. The electronics are basic, but it does remind me of a Kawasaki ZX10, of course, the same family. They're both Kawasaki's. Nothing too crazy, but it is an extremely comfortable bike to sit on and ride. I just noticed that the bike is a little bit top heavy when I'm riding it around, like just pulling it out of the garage, for example. It just feels heavier than my other bikes. And yeah, it is maybe about 100 pounds heavier than my other bike, so maybe that's what's doing it, but it feels like it's more the top than the bottom. Other than that, it has LED headlights, real the basic stuff that you would get from a sport bike these days, but also, you know, it doesn't look bad or anything like that, and it definitely feels decent to ride. So let's get on the bike and get a true stock here, and then we'll go to the dyno, test before and after flashing, and then we'll back that up with 60 through 130s before and after as well, so you see empirical data not only just on the dyno but on the street as well, so we can show you both ways. Let's get started. So I'm here with the Z1000SX, taking an initial ride here, and you can see with the settings here I have full power with the traction control completely off, so we get every ounce of power we can from this thing. This does have a quick shifter with auto blipper, so that's kind of cool for convenience factor. And we'll just be taking this thing in the freeway, doing some 60 through 130 pulls, and just kind of overall checking the before and after on this bike. So overall down low, this bike is extremely smooth. I mean, this is like a sport touring bike. The riding position is insanely comfortable, and I mean like insanely comfortable. I can sit in this thing all day basically, and this seat's super comfy too. Throttle's a little bit lazy, and even though I do have this thing on full power mode, definitely could stand to use a little more, I don't know, a little more throttle response. It just seems a little lax. And the electronics are a little dull in this thing. Not really a whole lot of options on the electronics, like full power mode. You can go to rain, you can go to sport, you can go to rider mode, which has basic, like the medium, full, you know, rain or low power modes. Now, it feels balanced in a corner. It doesn't feel like it's too crazy or anything like that. Not bad. I'm curious though how this thing feels up top, because usually these sport touring bikes are absolutely horrible up top. So let's see if I can open her up a little bit here, at least in the second gear. Let's see what she got. Everything. Here's everything. Okay, so there's definitely a limit, a throttle limit in the top end of this bike. Oh my god. It's like I can't tell where the limiter is because it falls off so hard, and then there's like no power. Let's try it again. I can feel it falling off. I guess that's like 10.5 or something like that, so I'll have to shift before then. But you can feel it literally just kind of roll off on power. Huge. And I'm sure the dyno will say the same thing as soon as we get her over to the dyno. So let's get over to the freeway and get some overall ride impressions. Let me put a few miles in this thing and let you guys know what my thoughts are overall on the bike. Alright, so after riding this bike around for a while, I can confidently say it's extremely comfortable. The throttle's a little bit lazy. The top end power really falls off when it starts to get fun. Like the bike will start to get fun like around 8,000 RPM, 9,000 RPM. It starts to come to life if you like that aspect from a sport touring bike. And then it just kind of falls off around 10,000 RPM. It feels like it really just falls on its face. And I think the 60 through 130 is really going to show us exactly what the issue is and how much throttle limitations there are, because we know the ZX10, the Gen 6 ZX10, it just falls on its face at higher RPM, and I think they're using the same kind of restriction logic in this bike as well. So it's something we can open up, and I think we'll see that clear as day on the 60 through 130. I got some cop up here really slowing down traffic here. So I guess we'll take this thing over to the 60 through 130 right now, and we'll see exactly what this bike does through that, and from there we'll take her to the dyno, compare stock to flashed, and then get her back on the road and redo the whole review and just let you guys know, like, hey, this is what I'm feeling from the bike and this is what the changes are through the 60 through 130. So let's get all the data, let's get it done. All right, 60 through 130 1000SX, this is stock. And we got the 60 through 130 marked off there. So let's see what she does stock. Second gear start. Here we go. Give it everything. We saw it there with a 10.4 60 through 130, and you can see the dips where the accelerating line goes up like this, and that is where the restriction is for the bike itself. So now that we know what this done in 60 through 130, now we're going to take her to the dyno and see how much we can unlock this bike, move the limiter up, do all the things we need to do to it to unlock the potential of this motorcycle. I'm over here at Lee's in San Diego with the 1000SX Kawasaki. And we today are on the dyno here, and we're gonna be making some pulls here and seeing exactly how much power we can get versus stock versus modded. So let's get to work. Alright, and this is a wrap for the Kawasaki 1000SX, and you can see we made some pretty good gains. So we started off with the 126 baseline, 126 wheel horsepower right there, ended up with 131 wheel horsepower. Now of course that's only 5 horsepower, but when you actually look at the graph here, you can see the gain in blue, which is the our BT Moto Flash. You can see right here, it gains all the way from the bottom to the top, minuscule gains. You'll barely be able to feel this, but right here it starts separating the men from the boys. So we're here at 8,000 RPM, dragging it all the way up to over 12,000 RPM because we extended the rev limiter from stock. Now you can see right here where it really falls down. This throttle limitation actually this is where the actual stock rev limiter is here. So we're gaining stupid amounts of power. But of course, no one's really gonna tap this very end right here. But you can see how much the power carries over. All the power carries over. I mean, 130 wheel here, I mean, over here we're at 118, but it doesn't exist over this end. So we're making some good power here, good power right here at redline. We're at what, like about 8 wheel horsepower right there, right where the stock redline is versus our Flash, and you've still got some RPM to go. That's pretty awesome right there. Nice wide power band versus stock. So it's time to get this thing on the road and see what she does with the after test. So post Flash, the bike is feeling much better. I mean, it lifts the tire up. I mean, it was lifting the tire up in first gear before, but I think even I can get it up in second gear at this point. And the RPM is at, what are these two doing? Oh my goodness. And it looks like I could probably get up in second. Let's see here. A little bit, nothing crazy. Let's see, top end here. Oh yeah, wow, that's definitely a big change. It's not stopping anymore at the 10.5 anymore. Remember, it's a stop there. Let's see, I'm gonna go here. Watch the RPM. See, now I feel an RPM cut. This guy's getting out of the way here for me. Oh yeah, the bike rules. This is a much better feeling bike, especially on the top end. It doesn't lay over anymore, it stays up. The bike feels a lot more lively, and I mean a lot more lively. There's a lot more throttle response. The power band is more even and smooth, so I'm getting more of a throttle response. It feels more like a sport bike, and of course I can dull that with the rider modes if I wanted to. I can put it in a rain, I can put it in a road or something like that, but right now I've got it kind of maxed out for the best settings, full engine power, everything. you're still getting nice, smooth throttle response, but if I want power, it's instantly there. Whereas before, it was kind of like a chore to kind of wrap it out and do anything with it. So why don't we go over and check out what it does 60 through 130 and see what kind of improvement we can get out of this thing. We're back with the post-flash 60 through 130. Let's make sure we got 60 through 130 marked off here. We're good. We got a good connection to satellite. We're good to go. Let's do it. Let's get it. So 8.4 seconds, 60 through 130. That's a lot better than the 10.4. That is 2 seconds faster. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, okay, you know, you made a couple more horsepower, and how does that translate? Well, it's pretty easy. The further this thing wraps out, like I said before, you saw the dip in acceleration. That's getting the dip out of there, extending the rev range. That is what translates to those extra seconds, 2 extra seconds. So that's a huge improvement. All right, let's go down the bullet points of things we've fixed with this Flash. Top end is the most noticeable change of the bike. If you take your bike to the top end, it is awesome now. Feels like a sport touring bike should. We've also got the throttle. It's definitely a much better. I mean, it was so lazy before, now I'm getting a nice throttle response out of this thing. Doesn't matter the gear, just feels nice. It also has a nice smooth transition as well, so you're not sitting there going like, oh my god, it's gonna buck me off the bike. It's not gonna do that. It's on demand, but it is much better than it was stock. We got the, like I said, raised RPM limiter, more power, better fueling, better ignition timing. All around, it's a pretty good package. I'd say it's worth it for the person that wants a little more out of this bike, wants it to feel a little more complete like it should have from the factory. And I mean, that roll-off up top is atrocious, so I'm glad everything got fixed. The bike feels nice and sorted now. It feels like it should be, or should have been from the get-go. So I think that's gonna do it for my review here. And I think I'm gonna play around this bike a little bit before I gotta give it back, because this actually is a little bit fun to ride now. Oh yeah.